All right, hi there. This is video number 16, and it's chapter 4, section 3, and 4, actually. And this is all about adding and subtracting rational expressions. Okay, so in varsity, there is a whole section where it's just adding and then just subtracting. I would highly recommend that when you do the first few problems, they're numbers only. Do not use a calculator. Here's why. When you guys are adding and subtracting fractions on a calculator, it automatically finds for you a common denominator. If you don't know how to do that with numbers, you're really not going to know how to do that when we have to do it with binomial or polynomial expressions. Your calculator can't do that. You need to actually know the physical process. So when you add and subtract, you must have a common denominator. And this should be something that is in your skill set. I am not going to teach it. However, if you don't know how to do this, I found a good video on YouTube and I linked it. So there is a video linked into Classroom. Under this section, chapter 4, section 3, or this video, actually, it's under video 16. And it is called Math Antics. Okay, it is only, I don't know, 5 or 6 minutes long. But if you honestly do not know the process to go and find a common denominator, then you should go and watch that and understand what he's doing so that you know what I'm doing further down in this video. So, also quick reminder that if you have A over B plus C over B, this is A plus C over B, okay? You must have a common denominator. And so if we look at some number examples really quickly, if you have 3/7 plus 2/7, this is the same as 3 plus 2 over 7, which is 5 over 7, because you already have a common denominator, right? They're exactly the same. Now, if you don't have a common denominator, you might have something like 2/3 plus 6/5. And to find that common denominator, generally you're multiplying by the opposite one. That guy in that video does a really good job. Write your equivalent fractions. 10 over 15 plus 18 over 15. Add together 28 over 15. And if you can reduce, you need to make sure that you do. And reducing at this stage means dividing out a common factor, right? That's what that means. All right, so let's take this into binomials, or I'm sorry, polynomials, rational expressions, things that aren't just numbers. So if we have 2 over x minus 2 minus x over x minus 2, you already have a common denominator. It's exactly the same. You have x minus 2 and x minus 2. I would be really careful if you have a subtraction problem and just carry the subtraction to the numerator and turn this into a plus sign. So for example, those of you that need to see this way, write it as 2 over x minus 2 plus negative x over x minus 2. Now I have the same denominator, combine my numerators. I have 2 minus x over x minus 2. From the last section, we talked about making sure these are in order with your variable first. So change this one around, which would be negative x plus a 2 over x minus 2, and then factor the negative off of this leading term here. So I would have a negative x minus 2 over x minus 2. And then you have a common quantity that you can cancel, leaving you with negative 1 as the answer to this problem. Okay? So that's a quick example of what's going to happen. That one was fast because your denominators were the same. Let's see what happens when they are not the same. So you are going to add or subtract 3 over x plus 5 plus 4 over x minus 2. So I'm quite literally going to multiply by the other denominator. So I'm going to multiply this side by x minus 2 and x minus 2. This side by x plus 5 and x plus 5. So your common denominator is now x minus 2 times x plus 5. Doesn't matter what order those binomial factors go in. And then all at one time, I would go ahead and distribute my numerators and just put them all in the same term. So I have 3x minus 6 plus 4x plus 20, and then combine like terms. So 3x and 4x is 7x. Negative 6 plus 20 is plus 14 over x minus 2 times x plus 5. And then you should, because this numerator is not actually factored, you can take a 7 out of there, and you have x plus 2 over x minus 2 times x plus 5. Okay, and that would be the lowest form of that. You can't cancel anything out, so you can't do anything beyond that. All right, let's look at one that's a little bit more complicated. So this one, you have 3 over 9a plus 4. Be careful with your 9s and your a's. They can look very similar. Minus 2 over 27a squared plus 30a plus 8. All right, so if you can, you need to factor. So we can factor this guy. So factor before you find a common denominator. So this is going to take me to 3 over 9a plus 4. I'm going to write this as a plus and move the negative to the 2. And then I'm going to factor that denominator. So 27 times 8 is 216. And I have a 30 down here. And it just so happens that 18 and 12 are factors that will multiply to 216 and add to 30. And then I divide both of them by 27 and reduce anything I possibly can. So the 18/27ths, 9 will go in there 2/3 times, and the 27, a 3 will go in there 4 and 9 times. So this gives me a 3x plus 2 and a 9x plus 4. Okay, so now what you can do is identify anything that's the same in your denominator. Well, this 9a plus 4 is already in both of them. So what we need to do is now multiply the left-hand side by that missing quantity, the 3x plus 2. So I'm going to multiply this side by 3x plus 2 on the top and the bottom. So now you have one common denominator, which is 9a plus 4. And 3x plus 2. I'll distribute my left-hand side. So that's a 9x plus 6 minus 2. Combine any like terms that you can. So this is going to give me a 9x plus 4 over 9x plus 4 times 3x plus 2. My 9x plus 4s will cancel each other. Make sure you still have a 1 on the top here when you cancel, right? And that 3x plus 2 has to stay in the denominator. Make sure that you write the 1 over 3x plus 2, and you don't just leave the 3x plus 2, okay? And that's what that guy would look like when you simplify everything. All right. Oh, at some point I changed A's to X's. I'm sorry about that. It should have been A's in the answer. By the way, if it starts with A's, this is just a varsity statement, and you put X's in, varsity will tell you you have a syntax error. Generally, what that means is you have the wrong variable. Okay, so you can check that out. And obviously, I would have noticed that this should have been an A in my answer when you typed it in, and then go from there. Okay, so that's adding and subtracting rational expressions. They can get kind of complex. To be honest, I don't really remember how complex they get in either varsity, or I'm sure we're doing a worksheet on these. That's probably more difficult than varsity. So anyway, more difficult than multiplying and dividing. And then the next section is going to be solving rational equations. So you need to be able to multiply, divide, add, subtract, and factor. All right, well, toodaloo for now.